Hey guys, welcome to a new episode of Unboxed. Finally, we're back. Today we have a good one for you. We're doing dating. We're talking about dating. It's cuffing season. I know, we're trying to find our boo. We're trying to find our man, our woman, our situationship, or whatever you want to call it. So today we're going to dive into it. We're going to talk about everything that comes with dating. We're going to talk about preferences. We're going to talk about the chase. We're going to talk about finding the one. And it's gonna be good. This has been a topic that's near and dear to my heart, and I have a lot that I want to get off my chest. But also, in addition to that, I want to open up to the floor, hear everyone's opinion, and start some dialogue. The first thing that I want to talk about is preferences. I want to start with the ladies, of course, because ladies first. But what are some preferences that you look out for in a man's or a guy when you start dating? Not preferences, but like standards.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
yeah. I know. Yeah, I was like, okay, I'll be like, what is that? But I meant standards. What are some standards that you have? Like baseline. Let's start with the easy things. What are some things you expect from a man?
Love the Lord first for me.
Okay.
I love a man who's honestly ambitious. I think being ambitious is sexy. It's very appealing to me. So yeah.
I agree. Ambition, goal driven, can see some sort of future for himself. Plans.
It's gotta be something. I know you have a lot of things.
Why does everybody say that?
Because I know you have a long,
She's like, hold up.
Yeah.
No, honestly, I just need clear communication and honesty. That's the two things.
Clear communication, honesty. Okay, y'all are nice. Okay.
You want materialistic things.
I did not say that.
No, that's
I didn't say that.
Get me then.
What about the fellas? What are we expecting? And because that's not a question that's often asked. We're not often asked what we want.
That's true.
And
actually, it's really important,
right now. Like I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
Because that's the point. We're not asked.
It's a weird question. I've never really,
I think he's gonna.
Oh, you got something?
No,
I was thinking. No, because
thing.
it's like I've thought about this before, but it's like sometimes it changes. But I think the main thing would be definitely education. Education's the number one for me. If somebody's educated, just because I like somebody who's constantly learning. That's one. Second one is somebody who's ambitious for sure, just because that's really important to me.
You're being too nice. Say the
Right?
real thing.
No,
I'm kidding. No, actually, I support this.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. And then for me, the third one is actually somebody who's active. So somebody who's somebody likes to basically do activities. So it could be somebody who's sporty, somebody whatever, like in that space. Because what that shows me is the person has a life outside of their work, right? So some sort of passion outside of your day-to-day work that you engage with consistently.
Honestly, even though he said that, I'm totally cool if you're down to just kick it at the crib, though.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Nah. Listen, I don't mind.
What was the judgment? Yeah. Why are you judging him?
No, we ain't judging. We're just laughing.
What do y'all think? What do y'all think I mean when I say that?
No, when you say that, I feel like.
Netflix and chill.
Oh, like that? Nah.
No, he said kick it at the crib.
That's cool too.
But he said kick it at the crib. I didn't assume anything. Just kick it at the crib.
Oh, okay. I didn't
For
even know
me,
y'all was
I
thinking
feel
that.
that when a man says that, he's not looking for anything serious. I think his answer was like, you want somebody who's actually going to be your girlfriend. But when you say just kicking it, it's more like a casual thing.
Fact.
So
Wait,
that's
but
where I'm.
are we talking about when you're already in a relationship?
Like, what are you looking for?
He just said
a
baseline
partner.
Yeah. Well, I even want to start just in this phase of getting to know the person. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Because what I think
Yeah.
here's one thing, and I'm gonna get into this right off the bat, because it's really when you're a pastor, you've had this message in your heart, and you prayed over it, and you get to the church and you're like, congregation, I just want to let you know, this message has been in my heart, and so that's what I'm about to do.
Okay, let's hear it.
I don't want you
Stand up,
gotta get the camera on me, because this is important.
Zoom in.
This is important.
This is his moment.
Man, fellas, I'm talking straight to you. Stop chasing women, all right? Stop chasing girls, stop chasing women. Because, and let me explain, all right? In the course of dating and getting to know someone, I'm not saying don't show interest, but don't chase, Because any sort of stable relationship that you're building with a person, it has to be on a basis of give and take. you know,
Facts.
where you can't just throw everything at someone that you're courting right off the bat, because it's just not, it's gonna create a situation where there's an imbalance in
Yes.
the energy that's being given out. And if you're trying to court a woman, you know, and I'm talking just straight like on the basis of like a man pursuing a woman. If you're trying to court her and you're doing all these like crazy things and like you're present and you're there and like all of that, and there's nothing being reciprocated on her end, you're gonna look desperate. She probably, and if it's going on for like an extended period of time, she probably doesn't like you that much, but she likes the access and the attention that you give her.
Yes.
And number three, you're wasting your time. So, you know, that's really what it comes down to. And that's why I think it's important to kind of like, that's why I'm asking, like, just to start from there. We can get into the relationship stuff
Right.
later, but just to start from there, because dating now, like, I feel like a lot of us are just, people are
People
very,
have no idea what they're doing.
yeah, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what
Yes.
they want, and they
Yeah.
don't know what they're doing. And if someone gives them any sort of attention that's positive,
They're
they let it
scared.
happen, or like, you know, they kind of let it happen.
Yeah.
And I think that's more so on the women's side, because it's not really we don't really know what is expected of a woman during dating.
Do you think
Right.
women let it happen? Like women let?
Some women do,
Yeah.
not all women do.
No,
Some
I
women
know,
do.
honestly.
I think a part
We
of you
definitely
needs
control. We
No,
definitely
no, no,
control.
no.
In my opinion, I think the issue with dating now is that women aren't taking enough control. We aren't actually communicating what we want. Communicate what you want and communicate how you want your partner to be like. Then the man will know how to act. And the issue with nowadays is women aren't communicating. We aren't telling men how to act or what we want or what we expect.
I think it's the other way around.
Really?
Yeah.
I think you know when someone doesn't
Because
like you.
because men are like
I don't know about that.
women know what they like. You see, because you see even with Idris, he didn't know what he actually wanted. Because he literally like has never thought about it. Every time you're in a dating situation or getting to know someone, it's always gonna be the man who's expected to take charge and lead and initiate and do everything, right? And when you take out the physical side of things, where like, you know, you're not sleeping together, or you know, like we're not really like emphasizing that as men, then what is it really that like we can look out for in a woman? Because for me, I'm so like now conscious of the energy that I'm putting in, and if it's not being matched in some way, I'm gonna pull back. I'm not gonna take you to the steakhouse.
Yeah,
But nobody
If-
asked you to do that.
No,
Like,
but you
a lot of-
expect it. You
No,
expect
no,
it. You
no,
expect it.
That's my favorite. Wait,
Here's
my
my-
favorite
all right.
part is, guys, a lot of men think that money
Yeah.
is explaining how much you care about them.
No, see, it's not- it's not- all right,
They demand my
So
care.
a lot of times a guy will be like, I spent $200 on this necklace, and they think that's gonna make her happy. But
Yes.
maybe she just wanted to watch a movie, or she just wanted
Nah,
to
bro.
Take it at the
Nah.
take it up I'll tell you right now, if you give a heartfelt gift, I'm not saying like go to the gas station and give something that's
Even
really
a
cheap,
flower.
but like do
Handmade.
something that
Yeah.
something that shows
Yeah.
thought into
Yes.
it
Yeah.
goes way more than you
Yes.
saying, oh, I'm gonna take you to this really expensive restaurant. We both know that we're cheap. Like we're not going there. Maybe if I had money and it wasn't like a big deal, like then that's fine. But we don't expect that. We don't want that. But for some reason, money apparently equals love.
I feel that honestly with me, that's the main issue, because men will see that I love to look good, I love to obviously have nice things. However, when it comes to dating, nice things isn't going to impress me. I'm getting nice things for myself because I'm independent and I want to do it for myself. I don't need to have a man buy me these things to make me happy. I'm already happy doing it by myself.
Okay.
You're here to make me happy in other ways. And so I don't know, money is not everything.
So okay, go ahead. Yeah, that's clear.
I always hear this comment from women.
Yes, go ahead.
I always hear this comment from women. Like, so, and then the flip side of that is, if I asked you, so why do you need a man, right? Like, besides the
I'll
physical,
tell you,
why
yeah.
do you need a man? Ash?
For me, I want a partner who I can build an empire with. I want a teammate who I can actually just live life with, travel the world with, to actually be inspired by. So for me, dating to me is like having a teammate, your best friend who's going to just experience life with you. And that's it, yeah.
And what happens if you're as an independent woman, if you make more money than him, right? How do you guys balance that out? So you want to travel, maybe he doesn't have the money to travel. What do you do then?
Well, usually I go after men who are ambitious, right? And so if they're ambitious, most likely they're making money as well.
Potentially.
Honestly, it
Or
doesn't
you could be
matter
an
who's making
entrepreneur
more money.
who's trying to
It's
come
all
up.
about.
You can compromise.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
It's
not
all-
saying you don't have to go to Europe or like whatever. You could just go on a road trip. You go to Seattle.
Exactly.
Seattle's not gonna come.
Exactly.
I mean, it's
Exactly.
exactly. You can find a compromise, or like if you see the potential in someone where, like, let's say where you guys are gonna be at, it's just gonna take a while.
Yeah.
Like that's if you're giving me something else in other aspects, I can compromise. I don't
Honestly,
need that.
I met my ex-boyfriend when he had no money. 2 years later, he had money. And that's when we were like doing nice things, right? But when I met him, he didn't have money. And people thought he had money.
But he was ambitious.
He was ambitious,
Okay.
right? And I knew that about him. I knew that there's a potential of him being
So
up there.
so you believe in potential.
Yes, exactly. And women actually do.
Okay.
Goals.
Okay, okay.
Good.
Go ahead, I want to hear this.
Abby, you don't believe in potential?
Not in the sense of like ambition. I believe in like what they've shown you to be is who they are.
Okay.
Do not date somebody for what they're gonna be. Of course, we're all gonna grow and we're all gonna shift because we're not
Yeah.
stagnant.
All right.
But if what you've shown me is not what I want currently, I'm not gonna hold on and be like, well, in the future he could be the man. No,
Okay. Okay.
who you've shown me is who you are.
So
That's
so
what I
just
want.
so okay, this is my thing with like these sorts of standards is that number one, if let's say okay, so take out the expensive things.
Okay.
So I just want to be clear in that if on the first date, let's say the guy takes you to Boston Pizza,
Yeah.
Normal.
That's fine.
that's gonna
that's
still
That's
that's gonna be
literally
okay.
Coffee
with me.
dates.
Literally,
First
it's
date.
not about
I
where
went
we
to
are.
at least Starbucks on my first
Because
date.
I was literally on Twitter today and I
Yeah.
saw someone ranting. This
Yeah.
woman was ranting about how if a guy uses his credit card on a date, it's a red flag. And I was
How
like,
old is she?
Maybe he's building
what are we
a
supposed
life.
like?
How old is she? Oh, you see?
No, she was probably like 30s or something like that.
The thing
Wow,
is,
shit,
though,
you see
some
too much.
women.
A credit card is based like
A credit card. I'm not paying attention
It's
to
true.
that.
Most women don't care.
okay.
To me, like,
You say that indefinitely though, you know what I mean?
No, honestly, I feel that most women are honestly like they just want a man who's going to like take care of them in a way that's not materialistic. But the women who you guys have been exposed to are showing you.
Okay, well, can't the same be said about the men though? 'Cause y'all saying-
It's about
y'all saying-
stability. It's not like materialism. It's about stability.
I agree.
Yeah. Someone for saying like credit card, maybe we don't know what he's trying to do.
But what does it matter in the moment? Like, why do you care about a
I don't
credit
know why
card?
she's looking at what
Yeah,
kind of
like,
payment method he's
Yeah,
doing.
how do you feel like yeah, observing it?
I
It's
know,
not-
like, what does it mean?
She probably had a bad experience.
That's what I'm- yeah.
Yeah. Ask yourself this question: why do people break up or get divorced? It's typically either finances, right, or infidelity. Those are two reasons why people break up the most statistically, right? So if it's finance related, it means maybe the past partner she had was maybe a spendthrift, right? Maybe had excessive amounts of credit card debt. So when she sees credit cards, that's a red flag for her. That's probably what happened there.
That's deep.
Otherwise, why would you worry about somebody using a credit
Yeah.
card versus a debit card,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
only if you're building credit, you're not paying off your debt.
Yeah. The other problem I have with having too many standards is that, and it's okay to have some on the big things. Like I think it's okay to have certain standards on the big things, like maybe your values or whatever. But when it becomes like a laundry list, I have an issue because number one, if there's someone that you really like, you're probably gonna be flexible on those standards, right? And
Yeah.
so I'm like, why do they exist to begin with? Because I feel like people are more harsh with those standards when they're getting to know someone that they're not really interested in, but
That's true.
you know they kind of like, you know
so
what I
isn't
mean?
that just a red flag? And then you like,
No, but they let it go. They let it
That's
let
so
it
true.
continue. They like the access, they like the attention.
Yeah.
So they let it continue. And I'm not saying everyone does this. A lot of times people who do this, usually they kind of have some past trauma or like some past experience that they don't want, they haven't let go of, and they're just seeing someone who's treating them well.
Yeah.
And you know, they kind of let it go, let it continue. But they shouldn't. And you know, you need to do what you've been through. in
I
the
think
past.
also attraction is a huge thing. When you are into somebody physically, your brain is like dead, honestly. Like you can't think properly. No, honestly, it's true. Like I was seeing this guy who was very, very handsome, but he wasn't that great. And I realized that after, I'm like, what is so good about him? Nothing. All I like is his face.
Yeah.
So when you are honestly into somebody physically, you lose that standard
Yeah.
easily. Yeah.
But I think you also lose it when you believe in their potential because it's like, oh, I can let it slide because in the future.
when I was talking about the potential,
Look, the
one, though-
empire is coming. Listen, ride with me now. We'll get there. We'll
potential
All right,
part. So
all
I
right.
wasn't just saying like you're imagining what they're gonna be in 5 years. I want to see the process. Like, are you a different person? Are you progressing? Are you growing?
Do you agree,
Is it
Abby?
diff-
Is that-
and essentially, yeah.
Like I said, if what you've shown me is what I want, then
Okay.
great. But if
Yeah.
you're not showing me anything, I'm not gonna like dream of 10 years from now.
Yeah.
No,
All right.
that's the difference. When I say potential, I mean like as you're getting there. Like obviously, like it's.
But it needs
like,
to be evident, because
Yeah.
if it's not, bye boo.
And
Mm,
also,
okay.
I think yeah, you know what I mean. Like, and you,
But I think you're also shortchanging certain types of people. For example, like I've realized, so right now I'm trying to build startups in addition to working 9 to 5, right? And I realized there's 2 types of people in this world, right? There's innovators and there's implementers, right? Innovators are people that dream a lot, they think a lot, they conceptualize, but they're not as practical. Then there's implementers who get shit done, right? But both need each other in order for the world to work, right? So I think sometimes people who are implementers forget that without the innovators, you don't really have, there is no business without the innovator, right? So it's like you need both people to come together in order to make things happen. And sometimes that's why you get yin and yang and the complement works. Without the other person, that person doesn't take off, right? Do you get what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
without that other person, they need that person to get to that next stage in progression. So sometimes people forget that because they think, oh, well, potential, I'm banking on something that may or may not be. But what they're missing is the fact that that person needs that additional skill set in order to make that jump.
And I mean,
But
women,
if I'm
women
not
can be
seeing the
really
progression and I
influential.
don't feel like
for
you're
men.
complimenting me,
Okay.
you're trying to find ways
So,
to
yeah.
get like if something's not working, you're not finding other ways to fix it, like or like to get there, right? So like some people have just one plan and that's it, that's their plan. And then once it doesn't work, that's it, they're done.
Oh,
I want someone who's able to go, okay, A didn't work, but I have B, C, D,
Yeah.
to keep going until they can figure it out.
Contingencies.
Right? And also I think, you know, not everybody's meant for each other. Like some people don't like potential, like waiting for that, and some people would rather have somebody else. You don't have to compromise your character to fit the mold of somebody else.
Right. So on back to the give and take piece. It's always about what the woman is interested in from the man. But what do
you
we
just
like?
said I don't know.
No, but listen, we're not leaving until we get to our questions because I need to know what we what no, but what I want
What
to
does
know.
I don't know mean?
Then he doesn't know.
Yeah, I don't know how I can really elaborate on that. Like,
Like I want to know, because for me, I don't know means no. So I want
You
to
know,
know.
and that
what
can't
I
be
don't know
that can't be
means.
though.
Yeah,
That cannot be like
no.
because you're not gonna have an equal relationship. Like you're gonna it's always gonna be the pressure is on the man. He has to take the onus. He has to be the provider. And you know, like we're happy to take on that role, but if there's no give and take, then it's not really a balanced relationship. You know what I mean? So and because in the initial stage of dating and getting to know a person, if you establish this status quo of like always the man has to take initiative, always the man has to do this, the man has to do that, the man has to do that. It's gonna be that way into the relationship. If you get married, it's gonna be that way. And if the woman leaves him, he's gonna be super resentful. You know, and it's gonna create a certain amount of pressure too, because he's gonna be like, after all that I've done for you, after all this, like, it leads to a lot of hurt and betrayal, right?
Yeah.
So there needs to be some kind of give and take. And another thing that I have with standards too is that if you have so many, I often ask people like, are you being harder on yourself than you're being on someone that you're looking for? Because if you're not, I don't think you should have too many standards.
Right.
That's fair.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
agree.
because you can only, it's almost like you can only, it's you know, like speaking, like bringing something to existence, like you have to embody that yourself.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
a better way of wording it.
you know?
Be who you're looking for.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So that's what I asked, like, what should we expect as men from women from the dating phase into the relationship phase? What are some things that women can do where there's a more equal give and take, you know, in that state of things?
It's a good question. I was going to ask you this, touch on that as well, but I was going to ask you, so from the relationships that you have had with the women that you've dealt with, what has worked and what has not worked? What are the things that you know for sure work and the things that you know do not work? Because that'll get you closer to what you think you want.
what are things?
What you think you want? I like that.
This is just gonna be like solving. It's like solving his relationship.
There's things that are for
It's like
sure,
we're
yes,
here to
and
help
there's
you.
things that are no, and you know that. Like, Trish.
I find like in my previous relationships, what has worked for me is basically my personality. Like a lot of people fuck with my personality. Oh, can I mind?
Yeah.
Children watching this show.
We're allowed to have 5 every so
Oh,
often.
okay. So I just took one away. Okay. My bad. I'm sorry.
It's all good. It's all good.
What's it like?
Find the
And
minute.
what-
This is one of the main things. I feel like y'all were talking about someone that's being ambitious.
Yeah.
I look at myself as an ambitious person. Like I'm going to school full time. I have a plan for what I want to do in the future, and I'm working full time. As on top of going to school full time as well. So it's like I don't have a lot of time to spend with somebody if like I'm with them personally, and that's part of what didn't work in my last relationship. You know what I mean? So the thing is, like, it's kind of good because like she liked the fact that I was very, very ambitious. Like that was a big thing for her. She enjoyed it. She always commented on it, but at the same time, that ended up being like exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, I feel like it's like the big challenge for me would be just finding a balance with that. You know what I mean? And that's not always like easy to figure out.
But in terms of what did you want? Like for example, like he was asking like what are the things that a man looks for?
Yeah, he said one.
Yeah,
He said-
so a thing would be if you're honest about that from the beginning, saying, you know, I don't have a lot of time, right?
Yeah,
so
see,
if
that's part of the problem. I feel like I may have communicated.
yeah, if you don't
that.
vocalize that, right, then
Yeah.
people think you're changing. So in the beginning, a lot of times
Ah.
people will, if you are a busy person but you're trying to
Right.
impress them, you'll hang out with them a lot more often.
Right.
And then
Yes.
once you're staying in there, you have to go back to your life.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if you're not honest about that, then the girl will be like, well, why'd you change? Why are you switching it up? Why are you not being the same? Why are you distant? Right? It's because it changed. That's why I was saying communication and honesty. Like it really changes things. If you're honest, you're like, you know, I don't have time. And you know what? Maybe I will be able to see you sometimes, maybe not. And if that doesn't work for you, then you let me know. And then maybe they say, you know, let's give it a try.
And
Give
there's
it a
men
try.
out there who honestly would say that. I met many guys who tell me like, hey, by the way, I like you. I don't have the time to actually like date you. And they aren't saying it in a way that's like, oh, I don't see a future. They're being honest. I don't have time. But let's see what happens. Let's see what the future holds. And I love that. I'm like, thank you. Because honestly, why waste a girl's time? Stop wasting our time.
And if you genuinely really don't have a lot of time, then it's on you to be like, is this even fair to someone to put them through that, right? Because you, like, I imagine, like, if the roles were reversed, if I was in a situation where I was treating that person that way, like, with the amount of time you were giving her, if someone gave you that amount of time, would you find that enough, right? And if it isn't, then maybe just take a break for now. Focus on other things, and once you do allocate a little bit more time for relationships or hanging out with friends or whatever that is, then you can come back to that idea. But like, you know what I mean? So that's a communication.
I also think as well, another thing which got me thinking was, as men sometimes on the communication front, like we often struggle a little bit with that because
A lot of it.
a lot of it.
No, because like sometimes you don't want anything serious. So the person, you don't think of that person as a serious candidate, right? So you're just looking to have fun, right? But you know that if you say that from the jump, that she's not gonna take you seriously, right? Like if I told you, hey, I'm just trying to hook up with you, like a lot of girls would be like, bye.
Really?
Right?
I don't think so. I think girls are more open these days.
Maybe.
Really?
I don't know.
How we
Which girls?
is to not
Really?
say
I
anything.
Okay.
There's
I
one
feel
thing I'll
that-
say about that. Like,
I feel that. Like,
I don't think girls are that open about, at least in my experiences. Because I mean, it's not like I've ever just told a chick like, yo, I'm trying to hook up. I just be like, yo, like,
Let's
Come
kick
kick it
it.
at
Let's
the
kick
crib.
it.
don't say let's kick it at the crib.
You set yourself up for that.
I
You
did.
set yourself
But
up
I'm
for that.
saying, like, I'll be like, yo, like, I'm not really looking for like nothing serious right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
like
then
I
they'll
said,
be
Oh,
like,
I see where you're going.
They'll
They
be
think
like-
they can change your mind. Like,
Yeah.
Oh,
down
that's
the
another
line.
thing.
Oh, that's
Girls
a whole
trying to do
other
that.
thing. No, you stay. You wait.
Let
You
him talk
wait.
about it.
that's not what I was going.
Yeah.
I'm saying that like sometimes like girls like when they feel like you're just trying to hook up with them, even if like that's not what they're looking for, they don't want you to think they're like, oh, like I've literally heard a girl be like, yo, like I don't want you to think I'm easy. I'm like, okay, but like
Really?
you're not looking for nothing serious. I'm not looking for nothing
Exactly.
serious. So it's like we on the same page,
Right.
Yeah.
but you don't want to be like.
wanna be
So you're just like
Like,
sugarcoating it. So
It's weird.
Yeah.
So like they don't want you to tell them straight up that like you're not.
But that,
at
I mean,
least
that's
from my experience.
but then
is what
that's a
I'm saying.
headache on its own.
Yeah,
That's not your
exactly.
right piece
So
of
I don't waste my time with
Yeah, and
Then
that
go
just
find somebody else who'll be okay with that idea.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
issue is like you're saying that the truth definitely can't come out, right? But then at least say the truth in a way that's like not like saying the truth. Because then why?
That's a lie.
I mean, like,
Sugarcoating shit is like I'm not good at that.
no,
bro.
but you're saying that
No.
if you say the truth, the girl backfire and be like, oh, I don't want that or what.
That's the thing though, it's not even that
But-
big of a deal because like at the end of the day I don't want nothing serious with them.
Yeah.
But it's just like it's just annoying, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
why
Be
can't
honest.
you take the
Be
be
honest.
honest with yourself.
Okay, the reason why I say this
And, like,
is
be okay with me being
I
honest.
tried online dating and I feel that some of the guys online were like, I don't know what I want. Oh my gosh, I don't know what's going on right now with my
I
life.
want to kick it at the
Yeah, so it's like online dating people are like that, right? I feel like
That's what it is.
Exactly.
But
so
be,
that's why
but be honest. But also let your actions speak what your words are saying. Because then some people will be like, I'm not looking for anything serious, but the way they are acting and the way they're composing themselves.
You can't be calling a girl baby or saying, oh my god, let's go, do boyfriend and girlfriend activities.
Let's go on a date.
Yeah, because there's guys out there who would be like, oh,
That's
I
true.
only want you to, have fun with. But
If
then
it's
they
just,
treat
if
you
it's
like a
just
partner.
physical,
But
keep it
sometimes
physical.
no, but like he was saying,
But, like,
sometimes
what
the
if you
girl
just-
tries to make it that situation.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay,
Where
you're right,
where
yes.
the girl would be like, like maybe she'll start acting passive aggressive, or like she'll start kind of like if maybe like let's say you spend time together and you're leaving each other,
Yeah.
she'll be like, oh, like you're not gonna take me to eat, like stuff. I'm like, like I thought you knew what this was. Like, there's food at the crib. There's food at the crib. We can do it at home.
That's how you come.
I'm talking about the crib, right? That's a cuss
There's
word
food at
from now
Idris's
on.
crib.
Y'all are really misunderstanding what I'm talking about.
It's the title of the episode.
Okay. You know what? Can I elaborate a little bit on that? Please.
Sorry.
This is your moment. Here you go. This is your minute of fame.
So this is what I meant.
Look at the camera.
This is what I meant by kicking at the crib.
Okay.
So you said like, you want someone that'll go out and do activities.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm cool with that shit too. All right, I'm cool with all of that. Like I like going out and doing things,
It's just
but
a
I'm also
homebody.
perfectly cool with chilling at home, watching a movie, eating some pizza pops, whatever it is. Like like just cool, listen to music,
That is so
smoke
boring.
some weed, whatever it is. Like whatever it is, it's totally fine. You know what I'm saying? Like I like to just chill out.
think
Like
that works.
I'm cool with that too.
Yeah.
If your partner is cool with that,
Answer the
shit,
question.
if your partner is into that,
The balance
Sure.
though. Like,
Yeah.
we're not spending months at that crib. But like,
yeah, but what if
It's
but what if
winter,
y'all
we're
are cool with that
hibernating.
too?
What is the point of being with someone if you can't live life? Life is so beautiful. There's so much to do and things to experience.
Yeah, but that's what you like to do, yo. Listen,
exactly.
if you get two people,
Let
if you
the
get-
Hello.
Okay, I'm
So I think this is like Idris like saying like beginning dating, and I'm just like pertaining this to like Idris's like lifestyle, like hella busy. For me, I would say the same thing. Like I do a lot of things too, but at the same time, if you're with someone that can bring the same thing to the table, like staying at the house is fine. You know what I mean? You're gonna be building that like eventually, like when you get further into that sort of relationship, you'll be doing more things together, and you will actually make that time. But beginning dating, like if you're just like, okay, here I'm just trying to get to know you, let's do this real quick, let's meet up, and then but we go back doing our own lives kind of thing. But what Idris is saying is just like,
I think that's for like.
Like I'm not saying just come over so we can smash.
oh
Like,
no,
like
not
no,
it.
but hanging out, like hanging out at the house is
like, I'm
fine.
totally cool with
Yeah.
just
I think some
chilling,
people
like-
would just like a little effort so once in a while. I think that's what
Yeah,
it is. It's just to show that it's
yeah.
not just like you're just coming
So
over.
why?
Like,
Okay.
like
So
at the
why
house,
don't
for
you
example.
suggest something? Because that's my point. That's my point. It's always on the guy, and I have no problem doing it. But if it's always gonna be like,
not fair.
I don't think it's
we have to
I think it should
initiate
be on that
everything.
sort of personal thing.
role.
That you
Yeah.
feel like you have to do that.
Yes.
Because like
Yeah,
for me personally, like if I'm on a date and I already see he's starting to pay, I'm like, okay, like I feel like I should also pay too, but I will also just contribute myself. But then that's just me as a person. But like I don't necessarily like the mindset of a guy who's always like, oh, I have to be the dominant one, I have to pay, don't worry about paying, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. But to me that makes me feel uncomfortable, but at the same time I kind of like fall into that mindset. And then that also probably signals misinterpretation, you know, to the guy that, okay, I'm gonna do it because I see she's just chilling there, kind of thing. I don't think it's necessarily like a woman just expects it. I think, not to be offensive, I think like sometimes you kind of just, as a man, you fall into that. you know.
Well, I mean,
But
historically
that's
though,
the-
it goes back
What's
to
the
our
reason you don't into that?
What's your point?
historically though, as men and women,
Yeah.
exactly, it's just what
Patriarchy.
has been happening in our history, right?
Uh-huh.
So we're still slowly, gradually changing, and that's what's happening right now. Is that
I feel like it's a strong gender role kind of thing.
Yes.
It's not even like
So
we expect.
But
it.
I-
Not
but
all.
question for
Some.
Haj. So would you ever pay for a date?
I have.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And
I have
always,
too.
always offer.
Huh?
Yo, so like if you got a guy that's always like quick with it, you know what I mean? That's like as soon as the bill come, like I just always beat you to the punch. Are you ever gonna like actually try to beat me to the
So
punch?
the
Yeah, because that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen.
He's like,
Trust me.
works your pocket.
Like sometimes I'll be like, cause like
You still
I'm that
wait,
type of person. Like I'm always first to like take
episode is a
my.
revelation
While
to
you
what's
take it
been
out.
going on in your
That's
life.
what I know my heart. I just let it out.
because the guy you're taking
David's
is
very
really
big
big.
on
You're
the
taking
whole
it.
like, why don't you suggest things? So I don't know how other women you've been dealing with.
Yes,
but
honestly.
I've done suggestions. I'll be like, we should go here, and then it'll be like, oh, my treat. Like you will go somewhere else, and I'll be like, I have a surprise. So like my thing is like, I'll be like, dress nice. I'm gonna take you somewhere really nice, and I just won't tell them where we're going, and we'll go and we'll do stuff.
I feel like you're an anomaly.
okay,
No,
fine.
she's not.
Yeah, no,
But if you suggested like I want to go here, I feel like that also is
Because
like,
I would
And then if
love
you
that,
tell
and that's the
them,
thing
you
that's
bring it up, like,
tangible
wanna
that
do
I
this,
would
I wanna
love
do
for
this.
the
Then
give and
that's me
take.
saying,
that's
I will
Yeah,
check you
like
out.
tell,
That's
like
a
if there's
100%.
something
Anybody
you
who brings
like,
up the
then we'll go
suggestion
do
should
that.
make
Like
you-
it doesn't necessarily like we don't always. I'm
So,
not asking you to always
okay,
get the
okay.
plan.
So here's my other question: is that something that you save for when you're in the relationship, or do you
No.
bring it up even during the
in
time?
the beginning,
Really?
yes.
beginning.
I think
I've
Sorry,
never.
what do you bring it up in the beginning?
Like,
Yeah.
so, like
all this stuff is like communication like bridges those gaps.
oh,
You know what I mean?
I love
Like-
how you say this
like-
beautiful word.
It's a once in a day.
Yeah.
Hear me out for a second, right?
Miscommunication
Hear me
in the
out.
wrong
So
time.
we're sitting here making an assumption,
Yes.
right? And then they're sitting across from us making an assumption
Yeah.
without anybody being like, all right, so hey,
This is what's up.
this is how I operate in these situations. Like, how do you operate? You know, like this is what I like to do. This is how I would like to treat my person. Like, how do you like to treat your person? You know what I mean? And just being able to like actually like bridge those gaps, because then all of a sudden you're like, and you could probably like, if you're like, hey, I'd love to go on a second date with you, like literally your first date with somebody, like this is how I'd like to move forward. You know, like. You know, whatever, like I'm balling right now, I'd love to treat you. Or hey, this is where my finances are at, I would love to like, you know, go
Split the
50-50 or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
and be like, are you okay with that?
Well, on the first
Like-
date, I always communicate.
I
I'm like, I'm independent. However, I like to obviously be treated, and also I can treat you too.
It depends on who asks.
I
Yeah,
always,
really?
I always communicate that
Yeah.
because
Oh.
honestly,
Try the communication
Yeah.
thing.
Okay,
Just
But
do a text message.
can I interject on
Yeah.
this?
Oh, look at that.
Like what, like to me that still wouldn't be clear as a man.
Okay.
I mean, you saying like I'm independent. I like to be treated, but I also like to treat you. Like to me,
Right.
what that's
But
saying
I'm
is
just
like
saying this
you still
balance.
have expectation of me to treat you randomly. You know, if that makes sense. And like,
Interesting.
like
But that's cute.
we're dads, we're dudes.
Randomly.
Like, honestly,
Randomly.
we
What
like
I
we're
mean is
brilliant in
balance.
ways, and as men, like we bring so much to the table. But there's also areas that we just don't understand. We've all had bad experiences, like everybody.
Yeah.
Like I've had bad experiences, you know, and like everyone here has, where you like have an expectation that doesn't get met, you know. But like at the end of the day, I think a lot of that falls on yourself for not communicating that expectation.
Okay, so no, let me ask Zach a quick, because
Oh, okay,
we had a chance because since you came a bit late. So the point, what I want to ask you is that a lot of times in the context of dating relationships, we already know what is expected of the guy, and usually women are more vocal about like standards and preferences, expectations that they have. But as men, we don't really get a chance to vocalize what we want, and also we don't even think about what we want. So what are some things that you like to have, or like like to receive from someone that you're dating and then getting into a relationship?
I think again, like this was like I was basically prefacing myself without even knowing this question, but like to me, all of that stuff falls under communication. Like by default, like men are logical, and thus like we do not communicate our emotions in
My eyes
like
twitching.
like very well, you know, like by default, right?
Okay.
And like by default, women are more connected to their emotions. And so they often know what they want a lot sooner than a guy would. Like,
So what do you want?
like, so what do I want?
Yeah, that's my.
I want someone who communicates well. Honestly, that's what I want.
That's it?
Because and allows me to communicate. Because I think if like when I was younger, I had to like literally like this grocery list, like 50 things I was like looking for in somebody, and I literally like nailed it down, and I was like, this is ridiculous, and it doesn't work, and I was like, I literally like brought it down to like 3 things, was like that are like passions and are like a mission in life, or like destinies kind of thing, would be something that like we could both support each other in. That they'll be an amazing communicator, because if you can communicate, you can walk through anything with somebody.
Okay.
Like you can literally face anything, and if you can communicate, like I'm feeling this way, like if you're brave enough, number one, like communication takes bravery and courage, and it also takes like
Being
empathy.
vulnerable too.
Being vulnerable,
Yeah,
absolutely,
being
and it
vulnerable.
takes empathy on the other person's behalf.
Yeah.
You know, compassion, and so like that kind of all falls entail under that, and then I just need to find them attractive.
Yeah, that's
it.
fine. That's
like
fine.
that's
What do you mean that's
so that's like my like list of needs.
Do you not want someone who you're not attracted to?
That's why you said you were being nice, because none of us said that. We were all like,
I'll be honest here,
Serious
like
conversation.
when it comes to looks,
Yes.
I'm a bit crazy because I'm like, will I have babies with you? Honestly,
What
I'm
you
like,
say? No, that's fair.
honestly, I'm like, would I
That's more the long
have?
You're only thinking about what your kids will look like. You know?
Here's something that I want.
Okay, there, Dayton.
Because I never get to say what I want. I'm always, yeah.
Say what you want.
Maybe my
So
lesson
here's
would be
something that I want from somebody.
No, I really
I
like you
date.
saying communication.
I want, like, have y'all taken the love language test? You know,
Yeah.
your love
Oh,
language.
no,
It's
no,
like
no.
one thing that like I'm big on is words of affirmation. That's something that I've been honest about with myself. Where like I will do things like I'll do great things for a person. Like I'll be there for them. I'll support them. I'll take them on
Whatever
do
it is, yeah.
everything, you know? But sometimes, like, I just want to see that you appreciate the things that I do. Because sometimes women will kind of hold back,
Yes.
where, like, it becomes sort of like an expectation. And you don't feel like there's any significance behind what you're doing. And I want to see that the things I'm doing, I'm not asking to, like, throw yourself on
But
me.
say thank you.
But I like
I appreciate that.
Okay.
Yeah, so sometimes
yeah.
that's even hard. And
But I
I'm
also
like,
like how you mentioned the love language, because I think a lot of people forget about like everybody's operating differently. So
Yeah.
like a lot of times we show love the way that we think, like what works for us, but it not necessarily works for them. Some people require gifts; they need physical proof of their love.
Yeah.
And other people would rather like touch, feel, like you being there is how you're showing how you love them, and others who need words, right? And so when you don't have that and you're giving, let's say, gifts instead of the words, and then it's like a fighting, and they're like, you don't love me, you're not showing me you love me, then there's
Meanwhile,
no
you're
miscommunication.
trying so
comes
hard
in,
to
yeah.
love.
but back to the communication piece. Do you think that? See, I get what you're saying in terms of like just say what you want, and you can have a conversation and compromise. But do you think that when you have to get to the point where you have to tell a person what you want from them, that it kind of cheapens
Not at all.
what it is? Where like, okay, let's say there's something even on the appreciation piece. Like let's say you're doing things for them, and and they don't seem to be like, it doesn't seem to matter to them at all. Like they're not being, they're not reciprocating anything. They're not thanking you. They're not being appreciated, right? And then you say, I feel like you're not being appreciative of the things I'm doing for you. And then they start, kind of like over, like, like these overt, like, and it's almost like,
But also
you're just doing that because I told you to do it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but
Like,
also don't do it because you want to get something off of them either. Like, you're
Like,
asking, you should do it
no,
because you
and
want
that's
to,
but
right?
that's the catch-22 of it, where like that's what it will look like when you tell them that I just want to know that you appreciate the things I'm doing for you. But maybe you're not doing them out of like you wanting the appreciation, but it's a nice thing to have, right?
Yeah.
So that's the danger of vocalizing it, where like then it's looking like, oh, you're just doing them because like you want to feel
Can
good.
I think some people just need like that extra direction. Like some people might just be doing it because not like doing it. Like you said, they're not showing the appreciation or whatever. Maybe they just don't even like know
But that's what you're doing.
that's hurting them, or you know what I'm saying? Like, so
maybe
they're just
people
doing so.
okay
Like
with it.
some people, like bro, like me, like I'm dumb, bro. Like I need you to like
A
tell
little
me
dense,
shit.
you know? So you
Yeah, I'm
just need
saying,
to-
yeah, like I need that extra direction. I need that little nudge.
Yeah, alright.
Don't be afraid to tell me that, cause like once I'm aware of it, then it's like, oh shit, word. Like, cause at the end of the day, I'm trying to preserve the relationship too, or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? So and. Like we have to work together to make that happen, and that's part of that collaboration.
Yeah. Go ahead, Zach. You're dying.
I'm dying. Bro, that was beautiful. You said. I honor that. That was really good.
So how's
I think. Here's the thing. Sharing with somebody is like empowering them to love you better. Like when you're saying like hey like I love, you know, whatever, doing acts of service for you, and like just like showing up to your house and like cleaning a little bit or whatever it is, like whatever your thing is that you're doing for your partner, and like they're just like not showing appreciation, like their code book of like their story, that like what love has meant to them, like maybe, you know, they grew up in a family that like everyone just did that for each other all the time, like you always just cleaned up a room whenever you left it or something like that, and so for them it's not even connecting, it's an act of love for you because it doesn't line up with your core values. Instead, like they're like oh, this is normal life, like this person is just like following the rules, you know, but instead you're actually sitting there like pouring your heart out in affection towards this person because you're like doing something above and beyond what your normal is, but they might not even know that, right? So like for you to be like hey, I feel sometimes that like I don't feel seen in my acts of service towards you, and I know I'm like really trying to love you well in this area, but like it seems like you don't notice or you're not appreciative, and I just wanted to like understand where that was coming from, or like what it meant for you as a child, or like when you were younger, like that somebody would clean, like if that was just very normal in your childhood, then it would make sense that they wouldn't be appreciative of it because it was a normalcy. That makes sense. So it doesn't look like above and beyond, but for you it totally does.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. And also,
Yeah.
I was gonna say one of the things. Sometimes we bring our own traumas as well. Like I know, for example, for me, like one of the biggest things I've discovered this as I've gotten older is when you're so used to something from being a child. So let's say you didn't get any attention as a child, right? The moment somebody starts showing you attention, you become a bit like sort of withdrawn because you're like, oh, I'm so not used to getting attention. But honestly, like it's a thing. So like I've noticed that the older I've gone, I'm like, oh wow. Like for example, I've had a girl literally tell me, she's like I would speak to you on the phone for hours on end, but my first assumption in my mind is this girl probably doesn't like me because I wasn't used to getting attention as a kid, right? So then it's like, oh, suddenly somebody's giving you the attention, but you're still assuming she doesn't like you like that because you're like, oh, well, maybe she's just being nice, right? So, and I've literally had somebody tell me that, and I was like, wow, okay, wow. I guess I wasn't even paying attention to what she was doing. She was spending the time, and she's like, I don't spend the time hours on the phone with other people, right? And I was like, oh, okay.
Right. But there are some women who, when they do meet a guy who's being loving and caring and showing the attention, and I said some, that's important. I said some, don't say all. Don't
covered your ass.
Yes, he knew we were coming out. I was like, you were ready.
Do not come for me.
Okay, there are some, yes.
But there are some women, and this is a thing that I think is pretty much exclusive to women, because I don't think guys really do this. Is that when they meet a guy who is going to be is like loving and caring and present and like, you know, understanding and like everything to them, they get suspicious or they withdraw themselves. Because they're like, where's the drama? Where's the tension? Where's the, you know,
no way is this good. There's no way.
Like there must be something.
There's gotta be a side.
Looking for trouble, find it.
Because guys, we're very good at receiving all that love.
You know what? I've seen the opposite where there's guys who tend to go after, let's say, I'm not crazy women. Like this is boys, I'm gonna say
emotionally unavailable.
Who go after very mentally unstable girls. And then so when they meet someone who is stable, then they become boring. They don't mean to, but like it's just they're not entertaining for them for some reason. They need that like someone to
be
But
obsessed and
that's what he was
crazy or
talking
whatever.
about. That's,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's
So,
childhood trauma. Like,
yeah, and
like in your face.
I don't even want to like limit it to a certain gender. I think it's on both ends. And I just, again, communication.
So I think a theory that I have in what is behind that is that we're all afraid of like really being in love. Or many of us are, at least. I think, especially in this generation.
More opening up.
Because women are afraid too. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Like, why is it always us?
No, because
Men are afraid of opening up. For some reason, for men, I don't know what it is. From grade 2, let's say, until there's this one girl that broke your heart. One girl, okay? I don't know. It could have been. It's one girl. Elementary school. She maybe ripped up your little card, you made whatever, and from that
she
day
gave her
forward,
pencil
you turned her into
to Chad.
Like no, seriously.
Yo, okay, chill.
And for the most part,
It's not like that.
Thank you.
no, like. One
okay,
girl.
so-
I'm not saying just in elementary school, whatever, high school. And for those who end up having trust issues later on with guys who are hard to open up to, whatever, it tends to be with something that happened in the past. Like there's one girl who they gave their all to, they were open to, whatever, and then she just did this to your heart, and then she threw it away.
Take it. Women, no, it happens with women too, though.
Yeah.
It happens with women too. To the point of like, women will seek men who, when you're dealing with past trauma, for them, they will seek men who they know they're like emotionally
Unavailable?
are emotionally unavailable,
Yeah.
and the women will know like this is like a project. You know what I mean? Like this is not
I
a
don't
finished
have time
project
for
because because for those
Mom
women,
builder.
if they meet a man who is like mature and ready and everything like that, and they haven't dealt with the hurt that they went through, as a woman, it'll be like they'll feel like they don't deserve it, or they'll feel like they don't want to be too vulnerable or open up to them because they haven't let go of that past trauma. So just let's say, and I agree, yes, like a guy will be like, like I gave I saw Mary give her pencil to Chad, and I
I gotta come up with Chad.
it's always Chad. Okay?
Chad.
Hey, I gotta, like, from my perspective,
Okay, yeah, from your
I'm one of those guys that just doesn't like open up like that.
Yeah.
But like it takes a lot for me to open up, and it's not because of that. Like I never had my
Okay,
heart broken.
but like to open
nothing.
up, is it because you don't want to be looked at a different light, or like just
Oh,
being
actually,
in
I'm
that
curious
sense?
about this.
No, it's
Recently,
just
this
like-
happened to me, so I want to hear. Okay, because to me, I met a guy. He's like, oh my god, I really, really like you. But honestly, I couldn't tell because he had a hard time opening up. And to me, I was like, you don't like me. But he's like, no, Haj, I actually really like you. But I was like, no, you don't, because you aren't telling me how you. Like, he wasn't communicating with me, so I wasn't too sure. So I want to hear this. So please speak.
No, like I mean, well, for me, it's not like in terms of like expressing how much I like you or whatever. I can
You
do.
can do,
I feel
yeah.
like it's just like if I'm going through something and like maybe like I got a bad day or like something stressing me out or something, I don't share it. Like I always
You
like
can't be raw about your
I've always been a type of person like I deal with shit myself. Like I don't know. I've just always been able to resolve it. Like, and it sometimes it takes me longer than normal, and then sometimes I might be a little bit off, and people will ask me, and I just be like, nah, like I'm good. Like, you know what I mean?
So instead of saying you're good, right? Come up with like my way is a lot of times we just want to know that something's up. You don't have to tell me what's wrong.
Yeah.
You can just say, you know what, today I'm not having a good day. So like with friends, I have we have a code word. So you use the word, and then like we know not to press on that subject, but like just to know that today not the day.
Yeah.
But when you say I'm fine, or like okay, obviously
not
you're
acting
not
fine.
fine,
Yeah.
but just acknowledge that there's an
Communication.
elephant in the room. Like acknowledge the fact that you know what, I'm going through some shit. You can tell me the topic, say like it's family related, and I'm not gonna probe.
Yeah.
And then if not, I'll be like, hey, like do you want to talk about it? You say no, cool. Do you want to talk to me in a few days? Sure. Like if you want to, we can go back to the topic if you want to. But it's just
I'm
the
not ready.
patience,
I'm not
right?
ready.
I'm not ready to talk about it, and then
Yeah.
eventually like I'm a very cagey person naturally, so when
What's
people
cagey?
start like cagey, like I dodge like like if you ask me too many questions, I'll feel like I'm being put
Yeah, I
into
don't
a
like
box,
that.
and I don't like that feeling,
Yeah.
right? So then now I have friends who just slowly ask questions. They'll ask twice, and if I don't say, I don't tell them what's wrong. They're like, okay, only.
Yeah.
And then eventually, as like months went by, I was able to open up a little bit more, but it was because they had that patience with me.
Yeah.
And but I also was telling them what was wrong. It wasn't just saying I'm fine,
Yeah.
right?
See, like that's part of that's part of the problem with me. It's just like I don't, or like maybe I'm still learning how to like handle that. And what's it called? And like the thing is, I went from like not talking, like, cause like even with my friends, I don't even talk to like my friends that much. Like we're close as hell, but everybody's off doing their own thing, so like we don't get to like communicate with each other as much. So then when I get a girlfriend, it's like I'm calling her every day, or like she's calling me every day, and we talking like on a regular basis. And whereas like, so I don't have that break to like just be with my own thoughts and stuff anymore. So like it gets harder and harder to like just keep, because she'll know something is up, but like my friends, like they'll never know something is up because they don't always see me, and by the time they do see me, I've already like resolved whatever is happening in my head. So like when you get to that point where like you do have like a close relationship with somebody and you have that constant communication every day, it's like I don't know that I haven't figured out how to like, fix it yet, yo.
Can you just like literally tell the person like as you're getting to know each other, or like as you're dating and you're getting closer, when you're getting to that point, exactly. When you're getting to that point, and you're like, okay, like she's pressing about something, like, or even before, like not even when you're in the situation, just as like a preface to like me as a human being is like, hey, like I'm an internal processor, and sometimes I might face things during the week, and it'll take me days to work through it. But just know, like when I do work through it, you're the first person I'm coming to.
Facts.
You know, right? Like I sometimes have to preface with people like, hey, I'm gonna externally process for half an hour. Like some of the shit I say might be absolutely crazy. Like don't mind it. Just understand. Like I'm gonna get to a solution and I'm gonna find peace. But like, I might be crazy for a half hour. Like just put your seatbelt on and listen, please. You know,
Yeah, like you're also allowed to be alone, right?
Yeah,
you want to be, if you're like, you know what, I just don't want to talk to anyone right now.
Yeah.
I just need a little bit of space. That's fine. Instead of saying I'm fine and then being moody with me all day, it just
it's not even being moody. I just play it off like I'm cool with it. Like
that's just so much more effort.
Final thoughts, and then we'll.
So I have a question about the whole communication thing.
Okay. Yeah.
Question, yeah.
I have a communication problem because, like, I think women are just as guilty as men. So, for example, recently I went out with some childhood friends of mine, right? One guy came to visit us from like England, right? And so we're hanging out, we're like, oh, elementary school, we're catching up on the old days. He's staying at one of my friends' places downtown, and we go, we have drinks, and then one of my friends gets a call from his girlfriend. She's like, hey, I tried to call you 4 times, but you didn't pick up. Basically, she was so upset, right, that when he got home, she started screaming at him, and then he sat down and he's like, hey, I'm sorry, right? Like, I'm sorry I missed your calls. Can you tell me, like, why you were so upset about the fact that I didn't pick up, even though I told you where I was? And then she didn't know what to say, so she got mad at the fact that she was upset. So she didn't even have a response for him. No, for real. And then he left and came back, and even he was more upset than when he left. So then he was like, I can't do this anymore, right? And then like for him, that was a trigger to be like, okay, you know what, maybe I need to break up with her. And they've been, dating for a while, everything was good, but then just when things like that happen, you wonder, like, how can somebody fail to communicate that they're upset? They're telling you they're upset, but then when you ask them why, they can't tell you exactly why they're upset. That doesn't make sense, right? Meanwhile, you knew where I was, right? So it's like, I'm sure there's other things in the relationship that I'm not aware of.
Yes,
It might just be something to do with her as well.
But communication is important, because if you're gonna go to that extent and disrupt people that are out and about, I think it's important to be very clear on what the issues actually are. Because women are just as guilty as this as men. Like, I've never in my mind have I ever seen a friend of mine get upset because he was unable to say why he was upset. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's either he's upset or he's not. Like, it's one of the two. I've never
I
seen
think
that
for your
before.
friend, honestly, there's other issues going on in that.
Yeah.
It sounds like a whole
a deeper thing going on
Yeah.
because she's that angry over missed calls. Really, I don't think so.
4 missed calls though?
No, I'm just.
You know what? Like maybe
No,
there's
honestly,
stuff that we don't know, right?
No, honestly, men. I love when men have boys' night. I think having romance is so nice. Honestly, you guys need to have that, and it's so important to respect that as women. So, like, if she's getting mad over that, I'm like, there's definitely a deeper issue.
Good. Abby, what was your question?
Okay, so in the beginning, you had said men don't chase women. And I clocked that it was probably because of you not feeling appreciated. But then Haj said something about communication and how she feels like women are failing to
Failing to communicate what they want.
And you said it's the opposite.
Yeah.
So what are your guys' thoughts on like
She
Like,
said
how
take
do you?
control of.
Yeah. She said.
Take
You
control.
saw the face that I made when she
not
said that.
taking
She didn't mean control, but
Okay.
like.
Yeah.
So what have your experiences been with women that you're in a relationship with, and how do you find that when they're bringing forth their issues to you? Like, do you think their delivery is what is off, or like, what did you mean by you find it's the opposite, that women know exactly what to tell you, or like?
Yeah, no, I mean, women are good at kind of like, even if they don't vocally say it, it's kind of implied what they want, because you can see how they react based on what you do. And just because women are usually better at communicating as well, like they'll tell you, like, I want this, I didn't like when you did this and that and that and that. Whereas with guys, like, we just kind of keep it all in. So that's why I say, when I said men don't chase women, like, I want to clarify, I didn't mean don't show interest. Show interest in her, but if she's not reciprocating, or if there's a lack
There's
of
no
give and
balance,
take,
yeah.
and because that will never leave if that
Right.
is what it's established. And within the context of a relationship, that I think it turns more into, because people get caught up in like who has the power in a relationship, which I think is when you take control, because we never want to feel like we're at the mercy of a person, right? So what I meant with that is for a man, I think it's important to be vocal about how you want to be treated. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's a fair thing to say. And again, like, I agree, women are the prize. Like, you should, she's your queen, everything, like, honor her, all of that. But as a woman, like, I want you to support me.
'Cause
I
you're a
want you to
king
be
too.
positive.
Yeah.
I want you to, be in my corner. And I actually want to be with a person who I feel like I can talk to about anything.
Yeah.
And I want to, because I want to feel that way without worrying about if they'll judge me, or if they'll
Right.
think like I'm inadequate, or I'll be worried at the back of my mind, like, ooh, like, her side dude is probably like, she's like, if he can't give me this, I'm gonna go to
I'm gonna
this,
go get some time.
Exactly.
Okay,
That's what
but I wanted to touch on the word inadequate. So is it, with her saying that not knowing how to take control, is it like the fact that they are coming at you with all these things that they want and not being appreciative of all the things that you are doing?
That's right.
Is that what it
Yeah,
is?
that's
Okay.
what's
Okay. Because for me, honestly, when I mean control, I don't mean having like this kind of thing. I mean just, we women, we obviously are known to communicate more than men, right? So I feel that because of that, we have the role to kind of like guide the man in some way. Not a lot, but I think for us, it's good for us to kind of communicate what is going to be expected, because men don't do it.
Okay.
However, though, men sometimes do it, and that's great. But
Have you ever
usually,
asked?
I do ask. I'm
You
like,
do?
what do you want from me?
Okay.
What do you want from a partner? What exactly do you see in me?
Okay,
Right? But
okay.
men sometimes they're like,
I don't know.
I think also one thing to also keep in mind is as you get to know a man, right? Like they say every man grows up to marry his own mother in many ways. So if you don't know how he grew up, it's very difficult to
Yeah,
estimate what
that's
he's looking for,
definitely true,
right?
yes.
Because you're gonna revert to what you know at the end of the day,
Yeah.
That's
right?
true.
Like old habits die hard, right? So it's
Yeah.
like you want to understand that part of the man before you sort of proceed, right? Because if you don't
that's
know his
actually deep. Yeah, because
friends,
actually,
family, all that, then it's very difficult to know what he's actually looking
Like
for.
how do you treat your mom?
yes, I was gonna
Yeah,
mention
I mean,
that.
like, I look at that all the
Yeah,
time.
I realized that actually
Relationship,
recently that I met a guy who was like so nice, but then his
Meeting
mom.
all these guys.
No,
Where they at?
no, seriously. His mom and him are not close, right? And I realized because of that, he was seeing women in a way that was so different, in a very negative way. So you're right. Definitely, it goes back to like childhood and just your past experiences.
Attachment thing.
And I also want to add on David's part, like when we said guys don't chase, same goes to women.
Yeah,
Men
oh no,
shouldn't-
yeah.
like,
Don't chase
same-
guys.
Like don't, like I think a lot of.
Don't chase. No, don't
I don't need to chase now.
don't
You
chase.
No, I
No,
like.
show interest.
Men or women chase?
Like just the
Don't chase.
So it depends on who you are.
never had no
Like, I feel like it really depends.
Pursue
Yeah,
versus
Pursue.
chase.
I think you should make it
Like it depends, yeah, because like
Vancouver women chase,
sometimes,
like-
at least
like,
for
I've
me,
seen
I give. Like it doesn't matter if it's a guy or if it's a friend or whatever. I give until like there's just nothing left, right? And so that's something where that's on me to know a happy like medium where it doesn't have to always be that. So then, because I feel like when you become that person who's chasing or the person who gives, then you start becoming resentful of that other
'Cause they're
person.
not.
Well, don't be a fool. If you're like
Yeah.
pursuing
Same
someone
energy.
and they're obviously not interested, don't be like, well,
Yeah.
No, but
Yeah.
that's why I say like you end up
Like,
going.
don't,
That's
like, you're chasing a guy, same thing, don't hold any shit, and don't say like girls don't want nice guys. Like it's never the
And
whole-
That
yeah.
statement is disgusting. Like, not
What?
true.
Nice guys?
Yeah, we want nice guys.
Nice
Trust
guys.
me.
Good guys.
We want good guys.
Nice guys do finish last. I've done the whole nice guy.
Not
thing.
true.
I have never
It's
given
been a
a
bad guy a chance. Never in my life. Never.
All right. So
No,
so
I got a
I
question.
Yeah.
Just real quick.
How long can these episodes be?
I'm sorry.
It's a whole movie.
I'm sorry.
honestly.
Okay, the podcast
like-
is long.
It's a
12-part
docu-series.
series.
Wait. Do y'all like if y'all talking to a dude and like you're
Yeah.
interested in has the thought ever crossed your mind that you should ask him to hang out first?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
To hang out,
Yeah.
Okay,
Like,
my
have
ego.
you've asked the guy to hang out
Yes.
first?
Yeah.
I've never had that.
Not me.
Really?
How subtle are you?
It's
it's not a common thing.
Okay, first of all, anytime a guy asks me to hang out, we're hanging out. If you don't use the word date, I'm not assuming that we're on a date.
Yeah.
We can hang out.
But then, I feel like there's some pressure though when it comes, because I don't actually I never say let's go on a date.
Yeah, I've never said that either.
I would say let's go for coffee.
Is that
let's do
Yeah.
something
You
like
wanna
that.
go-
But you know, but that's still a hang out.
Yeah.
That
What does hang out mean?
Because in the initial stage, I don't
hanging
know.
in at
I don't
the
know how
crib.
much you like me.
I mean, it could be that, but I'm
But
just
like
trying
that,
to feel
I
your
just
vibe
want to
and
know what
see.
your intention is.
That's-
Because
like,
some dude
you know,
asked
if-
me to hang out, and so I brought 2 friends, and then
Come on, now you really mad.
If y'all are acting cheeky together, oh, it's a date.
Are you paying for all?
I was like, no, but
Use your credit card. Use your credit card. That sure wasn't Yo, man.
wait, for the context.
Okay.
So we were supposed to grab brunch, but then I woke up late and I really wanted to go to church, so I went to church and he was like, oh, we'll link up later. It's later, I'm downtown with 2 friends, and he's like, well, are you trying to link up? I'm like, well, if you're trying to link up with people.
Link up from
And he-
hang out.
And he like
Regular.
didn't seem upset about it, and then we all showed up and he was acting some type of way, and I was like, and he's like, I thought it was just gonna be us, I'm like, but it wasn't a date.
Communication.